Send in the Reapers.
Hey, it's Zersty. Today I want to show you the Barbarian build that I use for Reaper of Souls. Obviously Reaper of Souls is only just out for a couple of days, and you know, I've run into a couple of problems from what I was used to previous to Reaper of Souls, farming at level 60. I used to use a two-hander score, and I'd use the Rend Whirlwind build with Fury generation. But I find that two-handers aren't as good as dual wielding, which kind of annoys me because I really wanted to use the Butcher's Carver transmode, but that's another matter. And second of all, you know, you can't rend anymore. You know, fair enough if you find a build that works, not Fury generation, but the way I play, not enough Fury generation, so can't rend. And obviously dual wielding, there's no point rending. The damage isn't high enough and it's not worth it as much. So what I found instead to do, I'll show you my active abilities now. The first main difference from anything I've seen is Revenge with Best Served Gold. Now what that does is it increases your critical hit chance by 8% for 6 seconds after using Revenge. Obviously to get charges for Revenge you actually have to be hit. You know, you've got 15% chance to gain a charge, but when you're farming you're going to be getting hit a lot, and 6 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but if you keep getting hit, you know, 2 charges get stored, so it does stack up. And 220% weapon damage plus 2% heal for every time for each enemy hit in Revenge. It works really well in this build, I found. On top of that, you know, you've got Whirlwind with Wind Shear, of course, gaining 1 Fury for every enemy struck. That's the main thing. You want your Fury generation, because, you know, Reaper Souls has changed the game a bit. You've got different things like killing bounty bosses. That's a lot of single target. You know, you can change the single target for that, but usually just to make things easier, you know, when you're farming, this is what you want, just ease. So gain 1 Fury for every enemy struck. That's great. Now this next is Wrath of the Berserker. Now I use this with Slaughter, which every time I crit whilst in Wrath of the Berserker, crits an Eruption of Blood, 300% weapon damage to all enemies within 15 yards. That's great. I find Wrath of the Berserker a really good ability, especially if you're fighting elites, treasure goblins, you know, just bosses burst damage. I'd say rift bosses and just bounty bosses. Generally, you, depending on your damage, depending on how fast you kill them, you know, if I'm by myself I can use it just once, but if I'm in a group I'll use it maybe twice. But it's a really good ability I find for burst. If you don't want to use Wrath of the Berserker and prefer to use something else, things I'd recommend would be the likes of Ground Stomp for a bit of extra CC, Sprint or Leap for extra movement, or Furious Charge, specifically with stamina for the extra Fury generation. You know, you're gonna need that. Next one I use is Battle Rage with Bloodshed. Bloodshed allows for every time you crit 20% weapon damage, or the damage done to all other enemies around. So generally I found, I was looking yesterday, crits are generally between 550k and 1.2 mil. So, you know, that's a big range. So if you take just what 700,000 as average, that's 140,000 damage to everything around you. And with the frequency, if you're critting with Whirlwind, you know, you're critting maybe 3 times a second, 3 times a second. So it's really good. Like I see more yellow numbers than I see white, so, but that's just my experience. Next, Warcry. Now, Warcry is really good for increasing the toughness of not only yourself, but if you're in a group. You know, I play in groups a lot, or with my friends, so increase the toughness of your allies as well. That's really good. But I use it with charge. Now, what charge does is, you know, that extra fury generation, instead of 20, you get that extra 30 fury in there, so 50 fury. Really good if you hit rock bottom on fury. You just knock yourself up, and you know it's only got 20-second cooldown. The next thing I use, Avalanche. Avalanche, what I find a high damage ability in Reaper of Souls. I use it with Lahar because the amount of fury I go through, you know, cooldowns were just by 1 second for every 15 fury. Now, naturally, Avalanche does have for every 25 fury spent 1 second reduced, but I find that 15 fury much better, especially if you're talking about Whirlwind using 10 fury. So you're constantly using 10 fury over and over again. That's gonna bring it down. Now, as opposed to Lahar, I'd say the next best, if you want that bit of an extra bit of CC, definitely go for Glacier, because Glacier is particularly great. Like, I definitely recommend it. Definitely go for it, because it is really good, and I have noticed that it's quite a popular choice. Next thing is Weapons Master for the first passive. Weapons Master I find very good because, especially if you're dual wielding, you're going to be wanting to use a slow weapon in your main hand. This is going to be a mace or an axe. Now, what this means is you get 5% extra critical hit chance, which is particularly good in this build, especially. You know, you've got Revenge bringing up 8% crit for 6 seconds after using it, and that crit's going straight into your battle rage, which is going to cause a lot more explosions, and with all those explosions, you know, that's a lot of AoE damage, a lot faster clearing. Now, I can easily do Torment 1, Torment 2, that's like good for me. You know, I'm not incredibly geared, but I'm quite well geared. Yeah, definitely. Now, obviously in your offhand you're going to be wanting to use a fast weapon, so swords, daggers, etc., that sort of thing. Next, Unforgiving. Now, Unforgiving, I'd say, is essentially required, because you're going to be wanting that fury generation, and also the fact that you're going to be wanting to walk into a fight with full fury, because it comes in so much handy, because it's just especially good. And you know, if it is a low amount of mobs, with that fury generation, you're definitely going to like last a lot longer, and you're able to use Warcry. The next passive I use is Brawler. Now, Brawler I find is exceptionally good. That 20% damage. Now, ask yourself, how often are you not going to be around 3 enemies or more? That 20% is so good. Definitely, like, these are the 3 main ones you need essentially for damage. So that's that way. Bloodthirst, I use Bloodthirst for that bit of healing. You know, every point of fury spent heals you for 578 life. When your main DPS ability is Whirlwind, constantly using fury over and over again, that's really good. But you know, this is what I would say is the optional one. Instead of Bloodthirst, if you want more damage, I'd say go for Ruthless, because that is extra 40% damage to enemies below 30%. 40% is great. Definitely, if you want that damage instead of survivability, you know, you feel comfortable with yourself, that's fine. If you would rather not have healing but rather pure survivability, you've got the choice of Nerves of Steel for armor or Superstition for all resist. Superstition is also good because when you take damage, you have a chance to gain 2 fury, so that adds to the fury generation, especially good. So I'm just going to quickly go to my gear. This is what I've got. You know, you can see straight off, my main hand's not exceptionally good. I did have an exceptionally good 200 before, but compared to these two, it's nothing. But obviously, with my main hand, I'm looking for a new one, definitely. Diagram offhand, really good. Now, my gear is not exceptional. You know, 536 damage, 7.2 toughness, or 7.2 mil toughness, unbuffed. You know, it's not the creme de la creme, but with the combination of these abilities, I'll show you exactly just how much damage I can do. Paragon point wise, like, this is what I go for. So I go for movement speed, which is good. For this, if you want extra survivability, go for vitality. Maybe extra damage, go for strength. Or if you're having a lot of problems with fury, go for maximum fury. It is a very optional thing, but I go for movement speed because I enjoy the movement. Offense, definitely attack speed. Yeah, you don't. For me, I can't see another viable choice, but definitely attack speed. Defense, this is definitely self-optional. I've went for life regeneration because I feel my toughness is high enough by itself, and would rather have that extra healing for survivability. The other two, I'd say resist all would be your other option. Utility, life on hit. Yeah, definitely life on hit. And if you're finding fury really tough, which you really shouldn't, with this build, resource cost reduction. But you know, these things are all personal preference, and I'm only Paragon 148, so it's nothing big. So I think I'll go show you what sort of damage I can actually do. So head in here, and so here's my damage at the minute. With full buff now, it's up to 615 damage and 8.3 million toughness. Now, toughness, that'll generally stay like that. Damage, however, this is why I enjoy this. Go find a couple of mobs. So, if we can actually find some, yeah, let's go. Actually, I'll dismiss my enchantress just so you see what it's like by itself. Okay, so we've got a yellow pack here. So that's Revenge there, up to 793. If I use Berserker, I'm up to 1 million. You know, I'm around 3 different people. Oh, things are dying too fast, unfortunately, so you don't get that full 20%. But definitely, you know, you gotta make sure to keep up your buffs. And you know, didn't have a problem there. Toughness is fine. Damage is fine. You know, they all got destroyed. That was with Wrath of Berserker. That's why I enjoy it, because with the frequency that you actually encounter elites, you know, Wrath of Berserker is all you need. The speed you take things down. There you go. Now, if you just pay attention to the actual just yellow numbers here, head outside just to show you. Like, this is what I enjoy about this build, because if you pay attention to the numbers here, there's more yellow than there's white from what I can see. That means every single yellow number is also causing more damage to the surrounding enemies, which pretty crazy. When you think about that 20% over and over again, you may think 20% isn't that much, but the damage speaks for itself, I think. Obviously I keep my war cry up there, but you know, you can see, and 2 charges of Revenge, easily usable. A crit chance, is excellent. And then with Lahar in here, you know, look at those crits. But what I would like to say, obviously this isn't the Bible. You know, you've got your own. This is really annoying. You've got your own choice on what build you want to use. This is what I find really works well for me personally, and I've seen a massive increase of damage. And you know, if you want to try this, definitely go ahead. And you know, if you find this works, just say in the comments below, like, or if you think you have any suggestions of how to improve, you know, definitely welcome to any suggestions. But definitely thanks for watching, and see you around.